And welcome back to Classic Kiss here on the Soundcheck. My name is Garrett, and of course, I got my two co-hosts with me, Tyler.
What's up, everybody?
And Beau.
How's it going, everyone?
And we are getting into another album from Kiss. We've been doing these albums for 5 years, or no, not 5, 4 years now. But we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary of our first episode. We still haven't. I mean, what we're halfway
like 10 in. Okay, I mean, we did the solos. We did a couple of other ones.
We did the movie.
We did the movie.
We did the movie. Yeah,
we have a couple episodes.
Yeah, we did an off the soundboard. We did.
We did the first 2 live records.
Yeah, we just did our tribute to Ace, so definitely check that one out. But we are back in business, and we have a great album to break down after a couple of interesting albums, to say the least, with Unmasked and then Music from the Elder, which we actually all kind of.
That reminds me, I did send you guys that playlist. Did you listen to it?
Yes, I did. I listened to it, and I see the vision. I see the vision. I like it. Go ahead and read it off to us real quick.
It started off with Fanfare, went into Dark Light, into A World Without Heroes. After that was Only You. Then going into Odyssey. After that, Just a Boy, Under the Rose, The Oath, Mr. Blackwell, Escape from the Island, and I.
Look at that. Hey, it's not a bad listing, I will say. For any listeners out there, if you think that's a better track list order for Music from the Elder, let us know. You can comment on Spotify. You can comment on our YouTube. I don't think you can comment on Apple Podcasts yet, but definitely let us know. I think that's it's definitely an interesting. I like the vision. I think that's all I can say about it. So. All right, but we're going to go ahead. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because we did say that we were going to touch on that, at the end of last episode, that we would bring it up for this episode. So again, we are going to be breaking down Creatures of the Night, released in 1982, and it's going to be a great episode. So stay tuned here on Classic Kiss. We are going to keep it going as we take a little short break. We're going to come back with a little bit of background information about what was happening with the band at this time, some production notes, and things of that nature. So we'll be right back here on Classic Kiss, presented by the Soundcheck.
How's that for a starter? How cool is this?
And we're back here on Classic Kiss, presented by the Soundcheck. Of course, I got my two co-hosts with me, Beau and Tyler. And we, like I said, are going to be breaking down Creatures of the Night and some of the history, behind the album. But before we do that, I do want to talk about Kiss Killers, because this is a compilation album. I don't really think we talked about Double Platinum. We may have touched on it in passing.
I think we briefly touched on it, but other than re-recordings of already released songs, Double Platinum didn't have anything new. Killers does. So we're going to touch on Kiss Killers, which was a compilation album, the second compilation album from Kiss, released in 1982. So Kiss's popularity, it just absolutely plummeted, even more so than before The Elder. So after The Elder, I mean, they didn't even tour for The Elder. No.
And obviously they had canceled their tour for Unmasked, at least in the US. The fallout from Elder was just awful. They didn't tour, obviously, like I just said. The album didn't even reach gold status.
Still has not,
which is pretty crazy to me.
So it probably would have, and I believe I brought it up in the episode, but they have never put it up for recertification, so it's never been considered again.
Gotcha. They decided to release a second compilation album, and of course, like I said, that's called Kiss Killers, released on June 15th of 1982. It was produced by Michael James Jackson, which we'll get more on him later. And no, this is not the Michael Jackson that most of you guys know. That's why they put James in the middle there. It was released only outside of the US, but quickly became available as an import. They recorded 4 new songs due to Phonogram, which was the new parent company of Casablanca. They also owned Polygram Records. They wanted to kind of make up for the commercial failure of The Elder, and they wanted these new songs that they recorded, these 4 new songs, to be hard rock. So they kind of wanted to, get something out there for the fans to be like, hey, don't leave us completely. So that's kind of some of the history of the Kiss Killers album. And it has 12 songs. I'll go through them real quick. It has I'm a Legend Tonight, which is one of the new songs written by Paul Stanley and Adam Mitchell. Down on Your Knees, written by Paul Stanley, Michael Japp, and Bryan Adams, which is kind of technically the first sighting that we get of Bryan Adams. Not technically, it is the first sighting that we get.
The actual Bryan Adams, not just someone with that name.
Yes, everything I do it for you, Bryan
Summer
Adams.
of 69, Bryan Adams.
Yeah, like it's pretty crazy, especially to think that he, has involvement on Creatures of the Night with one of their heaviest songs, in my opinion.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, Down on Your Knees, written by Paul Stanley, Michael Japp, and Bryan Adams. And then the other two songs are Nowhere to Run, which was written by Paul Stanley, and Partners in Crime, which was written by Paul Stanley and Adam Mitchell. So Adam Mitchell is actually going to be a name you're going to see popping up a lot throughout this episode. He did a lot of stuff with Creatures of the Night and as well as Bryan Adams. But that's the four songs that were written for that compilation album. Other songs that were on the compilation album that were already recorded, because it's a compilation. Cold Gin, Love Gun, Shout It Out Loud, Sure Know Something, Detroit Rock City, God of Thunder, I Was Made for Loving You, and Rock and Roll All Night. So really, I mean, when you think about it, they're hits up to that point. So yeah, that's just kind of a little bit of a background on Kiss Killers. They wanted to get something out there to kind of placate the fans a little bit, stop them from leaving all the way, Well, and Killers was also only released outside of America. It was not that
released
is true.
in America.
Yeah.
I do have a copy of that record. I have the Japanese copy so that it has the lightning bolt S's, because obviously in Germany it has the Z's.
Yes.
But yeah, it was released primarily in Germany, Japan, and Australia. Mm-hmm. It, like we said, it was kind of more something to attempt to bolster popularity in other places, because it was just kind of cratering.
Right.
Interesting notes about Killers, though, is that Paul plays bass on Nowhere to Run. I believe Gene plays bass on the other three new songs. And Ace does not play guitar on any of them, though he is credited for them.
Yes, yeah. I think Bob was the one that played
it is Bob, yes. And they also told Bob, you don't need to worry about trying to play like Ace.
Yes.
You can just play whatever you want.
Yeah, I saw that as well.
Yep.
So yeah, Bob on the studio cuts of the compilation album. I mean, technically they're all studio cuts, but the new cuts, I should say.
Yes.
So again, Bob Kulick, very, very just integrated in the history of Kiss. And really, really cool stuff there. But like Ty said, Ace was not featured on any of the tracks, though he was credited, which we'll get more on that as well with Creatures of the Night. So that's just a little bit of information behind Kiss Killers. We're going to go directly into Creatures of the Night, the 10th studio album from Kiss, released on October 13th of 1982. Now, what's really interesting is I had to double check this, because in Behind the Mask, the book that Tyler and I both own, and we use for source notes and stuff like that as a source, I should say, for our notes. In that book, it says that it was released on October 25th of 1982. In how they break down each album.
Yeah.
And they have like little written excerpts from the band members and producers and stuff like that.
Odd.
Yeah, it says October 25th, but then I looked it up on multiple, website pages on, actually on Google, and everything says October 13th. So I don't know if that was just a typo or if he was misremembering the guy who wrote the book.
My guess is probably a typo.
Yeah, it's very
bizarre.
Interesting. But yeah, so it did release on October 13th of 1982. Sadly, not a Friday. It's a Wednesday. I kind of thought, I was like, oh, that's actually like genius. October 13th, kind of a creepy vibe to the, the album cover, and maybe it's on a Friday. No, it wasn't on a Friday. It was Wednesday. So the last studio album for Casablanca. The album was actually dedicated to Neil Bogart, who was the founder of Casablanca, and Kiss was the first band that he signed to Casablanca. So Neil Bogart had passed away due to cancer, I believe. He had a battle with cancer.
Yes.
Shortly after Casablanca was sold to Polygram/Phonogram. So they dedicated this to Neil Bogart, and Ty, I'm going to hand it off to you because I know you're usually the one that does a lot of notes. I got a lot of notes here as well, so we'll kind of cancel them out when we need to. But we're going to get more into the production of the album a little bit later. But what was going on with the band at this time? Do you know? Obviously, a lot of stuff happening with Ace, kind of being missing in action. Not even missing in action. I mean, he had stuff going on.
Right. Yeah. So. This is a really weird time period for them because obviously, like you said, Ace mostly is absent. He's not really there. Starts having some issues where, he, for lack of a better term, feels like he's dying, whether it's from, pressure or not necessarily wanting to be in the band anymore. Ace wanted to go off and have a solo career. Gene and Paul tried to talk him out of it, and not necessarily not having a solo career, but basically saying, hey, you can do both. Paul even flew out to go visit Ace to, have this in-person conversation with him. And he basically told him, like, you can do both if that's what you want or need to do. Obviously you have a place here, but if you want or need to go do something on your own also, you can go do that. And Ace was very adamant, like, hey, I just can't be here anymore.
Yeah.
So, obviously now Ace is out of the fold, even though he's still on the record, on the cover, does some promotional material for the record. I was going to
say he was in the music video for
Yes.
I Love It Loud, which is interesting because I was reading that he actually plays technically the rhythm in that music video. Paul is the one that plays the guitar solo in that in that music video. So he wasn't even really heavily featured in the video itself.
No. Yeah, all 3 notes of a guitar solo that song has.
Exactly.
But yes. And so, we start getting into a lot of weird stuff, and the band starts basically using the record to audition new guitar players. And so a lot of the guitar players that do appear on the record are a handful of different guys.
Yeah.
So Bob is on some stuff here and there. There's some conflicting information about what Bob really contributed to the record. One that I know for sure he did was that he is the guitar solo on the song Danger. It was apparently,
I will say it.
You go ahead.
So this is where I actually got the conflicting information tidbit from, because in Behind the Mask, it says that, I don't know if you have this part in it. I was actually going to talk about this in the Tracklist Breakdown, but I'll go ahead and bring it up now. So some conflicting information here, because Michael James Jackson says in Behind the Mask that Bob Kulick played a great solo on Danger, but we soon decided it was in the wrong key for Paul to sing. It was also a little slow. That using prototypes of new equipment that wasn't even available yet, they were able to, and with the help of sound engineer David Whitman, they sampled the entire song, modulated it to a different key, sped it up, and were able to keep Kulick's solo from that track, or from a track that had been played in a different key and at a different speed. But Kulick stated in a 2011 interview that none of what he recorded ended up on Creatures. So I don't know if it's a thing of maybe he's misremembering and Michael James Jackson knows because he was the one that was actually handling the tapes during this process.
Right.
Or if there is just maybe he wasn't on there and they used a different solo. Maybe they got it mixed up. I don't know. But that's the conflicting information that I saw.
Yes. And I am almost positive that he is actually the guitar solo that's featured on Danger. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm misremembering and I have some in my notes and I'll find out in a minute. But, we get some interesting stuff here with Robin Ford is one of the guitar players that was brought in. He does the solo on I Still Love You, which I think is incredibly funny because Vinnie co-wrote and did the other guitar work on I Still Love You. And there are stories that I've heard throughout the years where Vinnie was, obviously he's there, he's present, he's participating, he's writing, but that he was having some issues with some of the guitar work.
Interesting.
And I think it's odd that they decided to end up going with him based on that alone. Because obviously, like we said, Vinnie wrote or co-wrote I Still Love You. He did some of the other guitar work on it, but he didn't do the guitar solo.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
But we've got Steve Ferris coming in. He does the solo on the song Creatures, and he does the outro guitar riff on Creatures also. Bob does Danger. All in all, there were 8 guitar players brought in for the record total, including obviously Bob, Vinnie, Steve Ferris, Robin Ford. Those were the main ones. There were... like I said, there were a couple other guys that were brought in to audition. Richie Sambora doesn't play on the record, but he auditioned during this time. Richie Sambora, obviously from Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
Steve Ferris, who, as I mentioned, he's from Mr. Mister.
Yeah.
Another guy by the name of Steve Hunter. And according to Paul, there was a young guy named Saul Hudson who came in and wanted to audition, but they felt he was a little too young.
Yeah.
Saul Hudson is a very famous guitar player. Everyone knows him. His name is Slash.
Wow.
I don't know how true that is.
Yeah.
Paul says it happened.
It's possible.
I don't know.
It is definitely possible, I guess you could say. But
yeah,
even then, like,
that's just one that I think is a really interesting case. And obviously, we know that Slash was inspired in some way, Ace or form.
I was actually thinking of Ace because I was looking at my notes when you said that. That was like weird telepathy.
Yeah. Damn it, you fucked me up. No, it's just my fat tongue can't work. But what were you saying about?
I was saying we just got Ace on the. We just did the Ace episode.
Yes, we did.
It's still on our brains.
It is.
But yeah, I almost called him Saul, as if anyone would know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Slash. Slash Kiss fan, inspired by Ace to some degree. I could see it. I don't necessarily know the validity of it, but we have a claim. Some other interesting stuff that's going on. Between the Elder and Creatures, Paul had surgery to fix his ear.
Yeah.
Because Paul basically only had one ear. He did say Gene came to visit him in the hospital during that time, and that around this time, Gene had developed a fear of flying for some reason.
Very interesting.
He didn't give any explanation why, but that on top of that fear of flying, he did fly out to see him because I believe Paul had the surgery in New York instead of LA. And so, Gene did fly out to see him, even though he was afraid of flying at the time. And so Paul appreciated that even more.
I remember hearing something. I think it was in the 2023 biography video that I think it was in 2023 that A&E did. They did like a documentary, a 2-part documentary, really cool documentary. And Paul talks about that, how like that really solidified him seeing Gene as more of like a brother than just like a band member. I mean, they were brothers in the sense of they were in a band and touring the world together and all that different stuff. But that really solidified like, damn, Gene actually cares about me as a person.
Right.
Like as a brother is something deeper there, which I thought was really touching. Sorry, anything else that you were?
Just a lot of random interesting stuff here. During this time, Bill Aucoin's drug use gets bad, and Paul and Gene feel that he's not really the right guy for the job anymore. So they called him up, said, hey, we're coming to New York to come see you. And they get to the building. Basically, they walk in. Bill looks at him and he goes, I know what's going on. Yeah. I know why you're here. So basically, they sit down, they have a short conversation. They shake hands, they hug, and, they part ways with Bill Aucoin.
So it was amicable.
Yeah. Bill kind of, I think, knew like he was kind of also in a bad place.
Right.
And, it was just the right decision. But on top of, his drug use, there is some reporting around that time that just his money management skills just weren't there. And so obviously with them now being in decline from their peak, if Bill's not managing the money correctly, then, that's another issue the band is having that needs to get fixed, or else the band is doomed.
Yeah.
And so, they just had a bunch of issues around this time.
Yeah. I mean, like when you think about it, really the behind the scenes of Kiss has always just been so interesting. And I mean, every band has interesting behind the scenes stuff because it's stuff that that's not readily available to you. You only really get to see what they put out there for the public to see. But, when they start telling these stories, they start writing these books, they start having these documentaries, you really start to learn a lot of behind the scenes stuff that's very fascinating with, obviously you had touched on at the beginning of Ace being out of the band. Pretty much at this point, he was still technically with them in contract because of the way that the Casablanca contract was like structured. But he wasn't there for any of the recording sessions. Like you said, he was involved in a car accident with Anton Fig, actually, who was driving the vehicle in April of 1982. He was prescribed pain meds, and unfortunately with Ace's addiction issues with other drugs, alcohol, the prescription drugs were not the best way to, I mean, obviously he needed something, but it's unfortunate because he fell into abusing those as well. And that really put him into a mind state that was just not coherent during this time period, unfortunately.
Right.
And he even stated as much. I think I talked about this in the tribute to Ace, but he stated he was like, if I kept staying with the band I was using because I was so unhappy being in the band that I was using. And, I started abusing these prescription pills, and I was just losing my sanity to the point where I thought I was going to like kill myself, either inadvertently or whatever. You know, he was like, I was just so unhappy with the way that things were going. So, like you said, they auditioned all these different guitar players, Vinnie Vincent being one of them. Or they used this session or the recording sessions almost as an audition. It wasn't like technically it wasn't official.
In a way it was.
Yeah.
Well, and another one of the guitar players that quote unquote auditioned during this time, he didn't really, but he had mentioned joining the band, and there was a pre-existing relationship with the band at this point, was Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Eddie wasn't happy in Van Halen. Apparently he and David Lee Roth were butting heads very hard. We know how that went.
Yeah.
And, you know, Eddie was considering leaving, and he asked Gene, hey, you know, like, I would like to come fill this role. I'm not happy in Van Halen. You guys need a new guitar player. Like, I will do this for you. Yeah. And Gene basically talked him out of it and told him, hey, you know, that's your band. You're already a recognizable face. People know you.
Yeah.
But on top of that, that's your band. That's your and Alex.
It's literally called Van Halen.
Exactly. So, you know,
I mean, obviously Alex in there too, but still.
That, and, you know, he basically told him, stick with it, stick with your brother, figure out the problems. And, you know, worst comes to worst, maybe you guys part ways.
Right.
And obviously, you know, David Lee Roth a couple years later would end up leaving Van Halen.
Yes. Yeah.
But obviously you've already mentioned Adam Mitchell, and Paul would co-write the songs Creatures of the Night and Danger with him.
Yep.
Adam Mitchell of the band The Paupers.
I was wondering, I didn't see that he was in a band, but I figured he was like in a different band.
Yeah.
But great songwriter.
Yeah. And Adam Mitchell is actually the one that told Paul about a man named Vincent Cusano.
Yes.
He had a lot of high praise for Vincent's guitar playing and especially his songwriting, but he warned Paul that he was not necessarily the easiest person to work with.
Yeah.
Also apparently said that he didn't really like him as a person.
Yeah.
Beyond just working with him. Obviously, there have been a lot of people that have said similar things about this Vincent man, who would later be known as Vinnie Vincent.
Yes. And just on the topic of Vinnie Vincent, obviously this is his first, kind of introduction with KISS. It is his first introduction with KISS in many ways, but he was credited he wasn't credited on the album at all, really. Because he was a session player for it, and session players just they don't get credited on albums. Like the amount of albums that we hear every day that technically have session players on it is astronomical, and these people don't get any of the adulation or fame, whatever you want to call it, because they don't want that. They just want to get paid. They want to play on the music, or they want to play the music, and that's it. So they're not really in the spotlight at all. So that's why Ace is technically credited as lead guitar on the album, but he's not actually playing on anything there.
Right. And obviously, you know, even though Vinnie does contribute to the album, both songwriting and feature wise.
Yeah, like recording.
Yes. He does go on to do the subsequent tour with the band, has his own makeup, which was designed by Paul. A lot of misconceptions around the name within the KISS community for a long time. People have called him the Egyptian Ankh or just the Ankh. Some people have called him the Egyptian Warrior.
Yeah.
The name of the character is technically the Wizard, or they shorten it to the Wiz sometimes.
So wild.
But that is even referenced by name as the Wiz in Gene's biography, which I believe came out in 2003. So, you know, that information has been out for a long time. There's just a lot of misconception around it within the KISS community. And I fell victim to it myself for a long time, you know.
Same.
Especially when Gene's book did come out, I was a kid. You know, we're fairly young guys. Unfortunately, we've gotten older, but you know, when we were younger, I thought he was just called the Egyptian Warrior also, which I did think it was funny. There was an article. I don't remember the magazine. It was something like Collider, one of those kind of magazines. And they did a feature on Vinnie when he first joined the band. And, you know, they've got a picture of him in full costume, full makeup. And the title of the article is The Wizard of Odd. And I thought that was kind of fun.
Interesting.
But apparently when it comes time to vote on adding Vinnie to the band, obviously we've only got 2 votes now that really matter.
Yeah.
Because Eric doesn't have a vote. He's not a member of the band. He's an employee of the band.
Yeah.
Gene voted yes. Paul also voted yes, but according to Paul, he voiced that he felt it was a bad idea and that it was going to come back to bite them in the ass.
Yeah.
It did.
It did, yeah.
But is that Paul being honest or is that Paul telling a story?
Right.
I don't know. Obviously, we've said it before. We'll say it literally every episode. I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm just running off of what these guys have to say. But obviously they wanted to change Vinny's name because they didn't want something that was super identifiable, because obviously, Gene has changed his name multiple times.
Yeah.
Bornheim-Witz changed his name to Gene Klein, felt that was still a little too indicative of who he was personally. Obviously Gene is a Jewish man.
Yeah.
So he changed his name again. They felt his name was a little too descriptive of, not necessarily just like ethnic background, but just where he comes from, who he is.
Uh-huh.
So, they pressured him to change it. Vinny didn't really want to, but when basically told, hey, you're going to change your name, Eric Carr, of course, wanted to go by Rusty Blades.
Classic.
So apparently when they got Vinny to accept that he had to change his name, he said, all right, my new name is going to be Mick Fury. I didn't believe it at first.
What is even happening?
I didn't believe it at first because it was in Paul's book, and I was like, come on, two guys doing this nonsense.
Go.
What the fuck is this?
So then I was in the water, bro.
Yeah. So then I read that portion of Gene's book, and Gene independently says, yeah, he wanted to change his name to Mick Fury after I told him he had to change his name. I was like, what the fuck? So Gene corroborates that.
It sounds like a WCW character based off of Mick Foley or something.
Yeah, Mick. Oh, was that his name in Japan? Since Ace was Ace Fury in
my God, yeah.
So,
that's funny as hell.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my goodness.
It's just silly. Like Rusty Blades, Victor Stabbin, Mick Fury.
Yeah. People just trying too hard. You know what I mean?
Even though one of those is a real name, unfortunately. But it's just some silly stuff. And on top of already where they're at, we kind of start to see some of Gene stepping back a little bit in this record from Kiss, not necessarily. And, he is still very present, but we start to see some of his ambitions turn to Hollywood a little bit here. And this is, apparently Gene made a deal with a studio executive from some studio. I don't remember where it was from. I don't actually believe I had. I think Paul just called him a Hollywood producer, but this quote unquote Hollywood producer made a deal with Gene that if he allowed like his kids and some of his friends' kids to come in and do some backing vocals on this record, that he would get Gene an acting gig. I don't know what song they apparently contributed to. I have no idea. So I would have to assume it's somewhere in the background chorus of I Love It Loud, because it's the only spot I can think of on the record where it could fit.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this greatly upset Paul. Paul was very upset by this whole situation.
Damn.
And especially we just lost Peter. Now we just lost Ace, and now Gene's looking elsewhere too. Yeah. And so Paul feels a little betrayed by it.
Right. He was also going through, you may have mentioned it and I may have slipped out of consciousness there.
No, you're good.
He was going through a breakup with Diana Ross at this time too.
Yes.
So I think that's what really kind of, maybe it's obviously not the only reason, but that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. Well, and the breakup with Diana Ross is really interesting for Gene, because apparently that was a really hard one for him, because I guess for whatever reason, whatever happened between him and Cher was in a way sort of amicable. Cher had made it known to some of the guys within Kiss that if Gene had asked her to marry him, she would have.
Oh, wow.
But that she wasn't holding out for it. And eventually, for whatever reason, even though my understanding, like I said, was that it was an amicable split, they did split up. Apparently, Diana Ross and Gene's relationship ending was a very hard one for him.
Damn.
And so I think that also contributes a little bit to where he's kind of stepping back somewhat in this. Yeah. But I do think it's interesting that in Behind the Mask, Gene puts forth that the band is very united at this point, with the exception of Ace, who is not there at all.
Yeah.
And that, they're all feet on the ground, 10 toes on business. Like, we're ready to go. We need to do this.
Yeah. And
but according to Paul, that's not true.
Yeah. And I think maybe he's thinking from like a creative standpoint, they're all on the same page in terms of like, we need to go back to, a return to not necessarily their roots, but to something that's edgier. You know what I mean? And I think that's where it really comes from, because even Eric Carr started to say that when they were recording. I may have been reading it in Behind the Mask, but Eric Carr had mentioned during the recording sessions of Killers, because it all kind of blends together a little bit.
Yes.
He's like, this is what we need to do. We need to get back to this type of sound. Now, the new cuts that they put on Kiss Killers, I mean, they're not anything to like write home about, you know.
Right.
They're not fantastic songs. They're not horrible songs, but he was like, he knew that there was something there. And he was like, we have a cool sound with this. We can definitely, expand on this type of sound and get back to like a heavier style of music. And I mean, I think Gene and Paul at that time period were like, yeah, we have to do something like that, because The Elder flopped. Unmasked hit was not doing great in terms of, their public image as well. So it just a bunch of different things happening with the band. Maybe from a creative standpoint, they were all on the same page of we got to do this. But then when it actually came time to, when it came to fruition to actually like get it done, that's where you start seeing the unfortunate realities of all these people, kind of falling out. So,
right.
I do want to start to get into the production. I mean, we talked a little bit about production notes in terms of session players and stuff. I do want to touch on Michael James Jackson, who they brought in to help produce this album. Paul and Gene are also credited as producers as well on this. It's just kind of a forming of a new relationship with this guy, and what a great record that he got to produce on,
Yeah.
I mean, he produced Killers as well, but the majority of it was a compilation album.
Exactly. And Gene does take credit for giving him the James in the middle, which I think is incredibly funny, because I guess Gene looked at him and went, well, you can't fucking be Michael Jackson because there's Michael Jackson. So you have to be someone else.
I saw that too, of the you can't be Michael Jackson.
Which I mean, duh. But
right. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Just fun little shit like that is what makes Gene just funny, where he's like, no, cut it out. He's like, no, that's not your name. He's like, it is my name.
He's like, no, that's that guy's name. You're this guy now.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on some of the stuff that Gene was going through, and that he wasn't really showing up to actually play on the recordings. He was there during the songwriting process, but to actually record them, we'll get into the Tracklist Breakdown, where there's quite a few songs where he's not playing bass. I want to talk about the production qualities of this album. It's heavy. It's super heavy. And the drums on this, and I got a cool little story, but the drums on this record are absolutely insane. They are so thick. They are so fat. They are so loud, but without it being overpowering over the rest of the music. It really is such a great, and if I have to say, probably the most cohesive sounding album of any of their albums.
Yes. I mean, you put it perfectly. It's thick. Like the drums are thunderous.
They are. Absolutely. Lots of reverb on there. Lots of just like a lot of low end on it too, which is nice. They were recorded by Nico Bolas and his assistant, Rich Bosworth. So really cool stuff. A fun fact about Nico Bolas: I got to meet him and listen to him speak at my audio engineering school in Nashville, Tennessee, when I was going to school down there. And I didn't realize that he recorded these drums. And if I would have known that, I would have like pulled him to the side after he was done speaking, because that's usually what happens is like after they get done speaking and class is over, they'll hang out for a little bit and just chat and, whatnot. And if I would have known that at the time period, because I mean, this has been 7+ years, man, that would have been awesome to be able to pick his brains. So I don't know, maybe in the future, I've been thinking about it. I'll see if I can use some of my contacts from Blackbird Academy to see if I can get him on like a Zoom call, maybe do an interview or something.
That'd be awesome.
Fucking badass. But either way, big shout out to Nico Bolas, because man, him and his, assistant, Rich Bosworth, because they did an absolutely fucking killer job on the drum recordings for this. They're fucking massive. And that's what I have in my notes. They are fucking massive.
They are fucking massive.
Last album of the Makeup era.
Yes. Yep. And we don't get Vinny on the cover.
We don't get Vinny on the cover. There is a Japanese bootleg version out there. There's a bootleg album artwork cover that was put on like some Japanese pressings or something. I can't remember what it was that has him on there. Basically, they airbrushed Vinny over Ace.
That's funny.
Which it actually looks pretty badass. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, that's kind of it for the production notes for the most part. We'll get into the tour because, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Just because we've brought it up with every other record so far.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Obviously in Behind the Mask, whenever they start the interviews about the specific records, they ask the guys like, what would you give it out of 5 stars?
Right.
Gene gives Creatures 4.5 out of 5 and Paul gives it 5 out of 5.
Yeah. Well, what was Gene's reason for giving it 4 out of 5?
I
can't remember if he said or not.
Don't remember specifically either. Yeah. Now that you say that,
I know that Paul said it. He says, if not, like he said, I gave it 5 out of 5, if not just for the grit that it had. Like it returned back to their fucking roots of not necessarily the type of rock and roll that they were playing, but it returned back to them being an all out, like balls to the walls, badass rock. You know what I mean?
Yes.
For lack of better term. They did go, so here's the interesting thing. Actually, I got to talk about this. As far as record sales go, this was not a commercial success at all. It took it, 12 years to reach gold status. 12 years.
Good God.
It did not reach gold status until 1994. It received positive reviews from different critics, other than fuck you Pitchfork and fuck you Rolling Stone. Go figure, those two are the ones that shit on it. But yeah, Pitchfork gave it like a 1.5 or 2 or something like that out of 10.
Pitchfork doesn't know what they're talking about.
No, they don't at all. But you know, like I said, it wasn't that big of a commercial success. It technically did chart higher than The Elder, so it was better than The Elder. But yeah, didn't obtain gold status until 1994, which is absolutely insane to me. They did a tour for the album, the last tour with the makeup until the reunion. As Tyler mentioned earlier, Paul did come up with the Egyptian Ankh makeup for Vinny, or the Egyptian warrior makeup, the Ankh makeup, whatever you want to call it. He did it pretty like quickly too, and I think he actually did a pretty fantastic job for how quickly I guess he had to make it. One thing that I do want to talk about is we kind of forgot to talk about the change in costumes for the Elder in the last episode, or in not our last episode, but in the last album breakdown for Music from the Elder. Obviously, they kind of departed from the very furry, like, and I'm not saying furry as in what furry means nowadays.
Yeah.
But
very fur covered.
Yeah. Like the fur coats that they would wear for Unmasked and Dynasty. They switched it up to go to kind of the more of a minimalistic, if I could speak English, look for Music from the Elder. I mean, Eric
cut their hair.
Yeah. Cut their hair short. Ace is in like a leather bodysuit. Kind of the same way with Eric Carr. He's kind of in just like a leather jacket with leather pants. Paul is doing kind of his own thing where they really kind of pulled it back to more of the all black look instead of what they were doing with the color thing in Dynasty. And Masked.
Yeah. And Gene kind of goes back to something closer to his Destroyer outfit where, you know, it's got some of that like metal, almost armor looking pieces,
right. But it's a lot slimmer.
Yeah, it's slimmer. It's thinned out. It's kind of bare bones.
Yeah. And then they kind of carry that on into Creatures of the Night as well. There's really not much of a difference other than obviously Ace isn't there anymore, but Vinny comes in. He kind of has like a leather jacket with a spandex like bodysuit combo. Eric Carr goes back to a spandex suit as well, because he kind of wore one of those on the Unmasked tour, which obviously he wasn't, you know, it wasn't a lot of shows. But yeah, so different, you know, changes in costumes and stuff. Paul and Gene, for the most part, kind of stayed the same during this time. They did start to grow their hair back out just a little bit. It wasn't as short, at least for like Paul.
Yeah. And because I mean, Gene's pretty much missing the top knot that he had kind of come to go with, and he's got it back a little bit on the cover here, you know,
right.
But, yeah, their hair is a little bit longer, but yeah, they had cut their hair for around the time of the Elder, and, you know, obviously like you said, we did kind of skip that, but they didn't really do a whole lot for the Elder. So there was...
Yeah, it was just kind of a back to basics type thing.
Yeah.
Some of the other things about the tour, as far as it was branded as the 10th anniversary tour, which is very interesting because it is the 10th. I mean, technically from when they started, it was 10 years, I guess, if they started in 1990. 1972, but even then most accounts talk about 73.
73, but that also feels like when people are like, oh, WrestleMania 10 is the 10th anniversary. And I'm like,
no, it's
not.
Though, yeah,
technically.
So they're all messed up on their years, in my opinion. But what's really interesting about this is that it's now referred to as the Creatures of the Night / 10th anniversary tour because, but when they actually went on it, I do believe it was billed as the 10th anniversary tour. The tour press release did not say that Frehley had quit, that Ace Frehley had quit the band, but instead stated that Frehley was too injured from a recent car crash to tour, but might make appearances on stage when able. The band used group photos containing Ace Frehley for the tour's press kits and ad material during early dates. These were used by promoters for advertising, so many fans didn't realize that Frehley was replaced until they came to the venues and saw Vinnie Vincent playing in person. Before Vincent was announced, new photos were taken and later dates featured, or before Vincent was officially announced as the replacement for Ace, like he's in the band, Ace is out. There were new photos taken and later dates featured the band with Vincent in the show advertisement. So they kind of learned from their mistake of, we should probably advertise that this guy is going to be playing at the show so people don't show up and get pissed off, which is very, very interesting. It's just an absolute clusterfuck.
That's the best way to put it, honestly.
But I mean, that's really all that I have in terms of the tour, in terms of really the background information of recording of Creatures of the Night. I'm sure there's something that I've missed that we might pop up on, talking about later.
Right. But, and, especially for these tours, I don't have a whole lot, but Paul mentioned in his book that, obviously they were playing to sold out stadiums and arenas before this. And now, for this tour, even though there is more participation from the fans than there was for Unmasked, for example, it's still dwindling returns. They're not making nearly as much money. They're not having nearly as much fan presence. And, so Paul said it was kind of, almost like a system shock going from these huge sold out arenas into being able to throw his pick out and it goes over the whole crowd.
Yeah. It's pretty wild when you think about it. And I will say one thing about this tour though, is, I think Vinnie Vincent's makeup is awesome, and I think he looks badass in the videos that I've seen him play in. Like on YouTube, you can just search it up, 1983 Creatures Tour, and there's a show from Rio de Janeiro that is pretty cool. I mean, I don't think that Vinnie is a great live player, in my opinion.
I would agree.
But he looks badass. He looks the part, and this is where you get the giant tank drum set,
yes.
Theme that Eric is on, which is badass, obviously, because of War Machine. And
it's so cool.
Really, really cool stuff. I think it's technically featured in the I Love It Loud music video too. But they did take that on tour with them, which is really, really awesome. So anything else that you want to touch on?
I'm pretty clear.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our, general information, production notes, and a history of behind the scenes of what is happening with the band during the release and recording and touring of this album. So thanks for hanging in there with us. We're going to be right back with the album artwork breakdown. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to Classic Kiss on the Soundcheck.
How you doing over there? All the way over there. Let's see those hands. All the way over here. Let's see those hands.
And welcome back to Classic Kiss here on the Soundcheck. We are breaking it down. Creatures of the Night, released in 1982, a fantastic album that we're going to be breaking down the track list, here in a little bit. But before we do that, we always do an album artwork breakdown. And it's always one of my favorite segments because Kiss truly does have some of the best album artworks out there, in my opinion. And it's, it'd kind of be hard for them not to because of just how iconic, their image is. So we're going to get into the album artwork breakdown, of course, with my two co-hosts, Tyler and Beau. And we actually have this beautiful 40th anniversary 3LP deluxe edition that Tyler bought for me for Christmas one year. Thank you very much, sir.
Absolutely.
It's a fantastic album. It's got 3 LPs on there, and it's got a bunch of live stuff. It's got a bunch of demo stuff. Really, really cool album. And when you open this thing up, man, it really looks badass. So enough about that. We're going to talk about what's on the front of it. So What do you guys think? What's your first, reactions? I guess. I mean, obviously you guys have seen this before, but I mean, this album cover is so bad fucking ass.
It's
man.
so cool, especially for being so basic. It's just their faces.
It is. And like, obviously the color scheme, I think, is awesome. The way that their eyes like glow.
Dude, yeah. The glowing eyes and the blue with the pink for me is really what does it. It's such a cool picture.
What about you, Beau?
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys. The glowing eyes. I remember the I Love It Loud music video.
Yep. That's
what I got that from.
Uh-huh. It makes you think of that fucking music video, and you're like, damn, it just looks cool, man. It goes along with their kind of creepy feel. It's released in October, man. The whole vibe of this album cover is just so cool. One thing that I do remember and that I think of a lot when I see this is the bathroom at the Kiss Coffee House.
Yes.
that used to be the Kiss Coffee House down at the boardwalk at the beach in Myrtle Beach. And
fuck y'all for closing that.
I know, man. They closed it down, but that was such a cool building. And in the bathroom, they had a giant mural of this album cover on the wall. And it was kind of creepy because you're sitting there like four of these creepy ass motherfuckers staring at you. So it's hilarious.
I guess they saw something they liked.
Yeah. But I think this is awesome. I love the fact that obviously we gotta state the obvious. Ace is on the cover.
Yes.
And he's not technically in the band, he's in the band, but not officially out of the band.
Yeah. Other than this, in the music video, he basically has nothing to do with the record.
Nothing at all.
It's bizarre in hindsight.
Yeah, it is. It is very bizarre, but he looks badass in it, so I'll give him that.
Absolutely. I do also want to point out real quick. I know you know. I don't know if you know, but I'm sure you probably do, Beau, that obviously Ace is on the cover here. Vinny does, not a majority, but he does a fair amount of the guitar work and then obviously becomes the guitar player moving forward. There is a re-release of this record in 1987. Vinny's not on that cover either. It's Bruce Kulick.
It is Bruce Kulick.
Who's also not on the record.
No. His brother is.
Yeah.
But, or at least we think he is, at least from what Michael James Jackson has said. But yeah,
it's even better. That is
funny
great.
As hell. There's also another re-release, or the 1997 remastered version has minor variations in the logo and lettering of the original. But it is, Eric, Ace, Gene, and Paul on the cover as well. So some other interesting tidbits. There's actually a 1979 children's book titled I Can Read About Creatures of the Night that is speculated to have inspired the album artwork. It was created by Dennis Wollock, who has done, I think, the majority, if not all of their stuff since like the early to mid 70s, or, kind of the inception of the band for the most part. And I'm going to bring this up real quick. So that's that laughing. I just edited out the long pause of the audio, but that laugh that you just heard was Tyler reacting to I Can Read About Creatures of the Night, which is, like I said, the children's story that we were just talking about, and it is very similar, I will say.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
Beau being the contrarian over here, but no, it definitely look it up if you're listening to the episode. It's just type in I Can Read About Creatures of the Night and it'll pop up. It really does look very similar.
If it was the inspiration for this album cover, I'm glad.
I wonder if Dennis has said anything. He's done a couple of interviews with this guy on YouTube that pops up in my recommended feed every once in a while about him, talking about the behind the scenes of the album of the album artworks that he did. So I'll have to kind of go through that catalog of videos and see if he talks about it. But really, really cool stuff. I think that's all that I have in terms of notes of like little interesting tidbits about the album artwork. Obviously, really the main thing is the fact that Ace is on there and has nothing to do with the album at all. Let's go ahead and get your ratings. Beau, I'm going to start with you. Out of 10, what would you give this album artwork rating?
7.
7. Okay. Wow. Interesting. It's a little bit lower than I thought.
Mainly just because it's a cool album cover. It's basic. It's their faces.
Yeah. Yeah, that's understandable. Understandable. Tyler, what about you?
I'm going to give it a 9. This is one of my A, favorite records, but B, I think it just fits the vibe of the record so much.
It really does. One thing I do want to talk about is that I think it was in Behind the Mask, that it was either Behind the Mask or something, that Michael James Jackson says that he was flipping through the channels one time, shortly after, or no, Adam Mitchell, I think, was flipping through the channels of his TV one night, and a televangelist came on, and he was holding this album, swinging it in the air, talking about how it was, demonic and satanic and all this different
the Knights
stuff.
in Satan service.
Yeah, and he was talking about like, oh, this creatures thing. It's demonic, blah blah blah. It's satanic, all this different stuff. And Adam just kind of laughed to himself. He's like, it's not demonic. I wrote that with Paul in my kitchen. What is going on? It's just like, I think it's funny because he just had to laugh at the absurdity of it. You know what I mean? But like you said, the vibe of it is very badass. And one thing I like is Gene genuinely looks menacing in this. He doesn't look like kind of goofy sometimes, like how he did on Dynasty, in my opinion, with how he looks like has the wide eyes and doing a weird thing. He's not like putting out his tongue or anything like that. I think that this is just cool. He looks very menacing here. So
yeah.
I'm going to have to give it a 9 out of 10 as well. It is one of my favorites. The blue does a lot for me, and the glowing eyes is fantastic. So anything else you guys want to talk about in terms of the album artwork?
No, sir.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for the album artwork breakdown. Don't go anywhere. We're going to do our track list breakdown coming up here in just a few moments.
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Well, all right. All right. You know this one. Can you sing it?
And we're back with Classic Kiss on the Soundcheck here. My name is Garrett, and of course, I got my two co-hosts, Tyler.
What's up, everybody?
And Beau.
How's it going, everyone?
And we are about to break down the track list for Creatures of the Night, the 1982 album from Kiss, a phenomenal album. And we're going to explore, some of the more nuanced takes that we're going to have on a couple of these songs. Not even a couple of these songs, on all of these songs, because we are going to be breaking down the track list starting right now. We have Creatures of the Night to kick off this album, written by Paul Stanley and Adam Mitchell. How the fuck can't you love this song, man?
Dude, back to the strong album openers from these guys.
Yes. And from what I've read, I believe Paul said it, is that this was the first song that they wrote for the album. And he was glad that it was, because it's such a good song to start with. It makes writing the rest of the album easier.
Yes.
It's not one of those things where they just had like songs that they were writing and they were like, okay, how do we start off this album? He said when they wrote this song, they wrote it with the intention that it was going to kick off the album. And I think that's awesome to hear from Paul. The lead guitar and solo was done by Steve Ferris on this album, from what I've read. Steve Ferris did you mention him? I can't remember.
Yes. Him and Robin Ford both.
Yes.
Yeah, Steve Ferris plays the solo. Was Steve Ferris Mr.
I think he was Mr.
Yeah.
Whereas Robin Ford, he's just a blues guitarist.
He did a lot of solo stuff, but a lot of session stuff also.
Right. Additional lead was done by Adam Mitchell on this as well. Bass was actually done by Mike Porcaro. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that name, but
it's not Gene Simmons.
And Mike played in Toto with his two brothers. So he was the bassist in Toto, and he was also a bassist in the Bee Gees. So,
all right. So Toto has basically come up multiple times now with Kiss because fucking Steve Lukather was on Peter's record, Peter's solo album.
I wonder if that's where the connection was made or something.
That's bizarre.
But even then, it's just so crazy. It's so cool to see like this, again, the behind the scenes stuff of like, hey, this guy was in this band. This guy was in this band. He played session work on this, album and whatnot. But the bass was done by Mike. We'll just say Porcaro. We'll say it that way. I'm sorry, I'm butchering his name. I feel awful. Fantastic song. I love the little breakdown bridge part with the guitar harmonizing. It's so cool. It's the
and that's what I was talking about in the Ace episode when we were talking about how we mimic shit back and forth all the time.
It's so like every time I hear that, it just kind of gives me a little bit of goosebumps. I don't really have anything else to say about this song other than I fucking love it. What about you guys?
I think it was actually a really smart move to put this at the top. Yeah. It's definitely one of my favorite opening tracks to any album they have.
They came back with another finally after a couple of albums with a song that truly captures you at the very beginning of the album.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I mean, that initial just drum hit gets you.
Yeah, it's got the same kind of effect that Strutter has. You know, the dook dook dook. You know, it's like it's a drum fill to open up the song, and it's fantastic. Anything else, Beau?
No.
Yeah, it sets the tone really well. It's a great album opener, like Beau said, after having a few where they really haven't had that.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with that drum sound on its own, it's almost like a mission statement. You know what I mean? And, the guitar tone on this song also it's so good. On top of this record, I've always loved this song. This song is just so cool.
Yeah. And it's funny because I remember as a kid, I liked this song, but I didn't really listen to, when I say as a kid, I'm just saying when I was younger. I didn't listen to this album a lot. I knew the song, but like I never really developed an appreciation for it until like the last like 6-7 years, where I would just like started going through all of the catalog and really diving deep into their music. And I was like, damn, this is a badass song. Fantastic structure. And it doesn't feel like it overstays its welcome. You know what I mean? It's a pretty decently not long song, but like still it's not like a short song or anything like that. But yeah, great song overall. We're going to go to track number 2. Oh, sorry.
I will say though, before re-listening to it for the episode, I actually played it for my nephew. He loves the song.
Nice.
I was listening to the lyrics and it says victims of the moment. Given what we know about their history, you could kind of tell that this song kind of fits what's going on with them right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This song, we'll get to Rock and Roll Hell later on, which I think is very interesting, which is technically written by someone else. Again, we'll get to that later. But I think there's definitely some lyrics and some material on this album that does reflect kind of what is happening with the band at this point, you know?
Yeah. Well, and just the title, Danger.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, we're going to go to track number 2, Saint and Sinner, written by Gene Simmons and Michael Japp. I have here in the notes that Vinnie Vincent was on all guitars, so lead, solo, whatever you want to call it, even rhythm, and it's a pretty solid song. I've come around to it a little bit more that I've listened to. It's still not one of my favorites off of the album, but anything you guys got to say about it?
It's going to be interesting. I was listening to this one, and I kind of got like a slight jazz feel to it.
Interesting.
It's not like the traditional.
The drum pattern.
Hear it in there.
Yeah, that is. I forgot that's on this one, isn't it? Yeah, Saint and Sinner. The the hi-hat pattern. Yeah. For some reason, I kept thinking that was on Rock and Roll Head. God damn it.
All right, Beau, we've both fucked up. It's time for you to fuck up.
I can't fucking speak. For some reason, I thought that was on Rock and Roll Hell, but no, you're right. And I understand what you're saying now. Ty, you got anything to say?
This is an interesting song for me because for a long time, it wasn't ever really one that I came back to when I came back to this record. Because on top of listening to all of their stuff fairly frequently, I do come back to this one quite a bit. But, Saint and Sinner has definitely grown on me over the years. And, I don't necessarily think that there are any bad songs on the record, but for a long time, it was one of the ones that I would have chucked. But, I can't really say that anymore. Like I said, it's grown on me and, it's kind of developed a place in my heart.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about the song other than, like I said, I've come around to it a little bit more and kind of the same way that you talked about it. But we're going to go to track number 3, Keep Me Coming, written by Paul Stanley and Adam Mitchell. So another, you'll hear Adam and Paul writing a lot of music on this album together. Listen, the lyrics are dumb, but I actually really like this song. I know it's a hot take. I think that the guitar riff is so fucking catchy and so goddamn good. Lyrics are abysmal because
the chorus kills the song for me.
Yeah, it's
whatever Paul is trying to do.
The what keep me coming, baby. It's
too much.
It's that part is the part that really gets me. I don't mind that keep me coming.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But like, I look back at this song and I go, I can understand where his voice went.
Yeah, no shit. But the instrumental to this is fucking phenomenal, in my opinion. And real quick, I will say, I think that the two solos that I believe Bob was rumored to have played on were Danger, and I think the other one was supposedly Keep Me Coming, but I think it's since been confirmed that Vinny was the one that played the lead on Keep Me Coming. And he plays the solo. I think that Vinny actually pays homage to Ace with the little lick in the solo because it sounds very reminiscent of the lick that Ace plays in She that he lifted from the Doors. And I'm going to bring it up real quick so we can listen to it. So hold on one sec. All right. So we just listened back to it. And there's a part in there where he does that. And it sounds exactly similar to She. And then, of course, I can't remember what the song is from the Doors.
Oh, if he gave me a minute, I'd get to it. But I mean, it's too much for right now.
We've documented it on previous episodes. So
yes.
But yeah, I like I said, I really actually do enjoy this song. I do agree with Tyler. The chorus is really rough. It doesn't kill it completely for me, but other than that, I don't really have anything else to say. So what do you guys got to say?
Wasn't this the one I said kind of sounds like Love in an Elevator by Aerosmith?
Yeah, I can hear the similarities on it for sure.
Even though Love in an Elevator obviously came out later.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it came out before this one, didn't it?
I thought that was a mid-'80s song from Aerosmith.
Oh, is it a mid-'80s? Wow.
Dude, I have no idea. I'm not nearly as well-versed in Aerosmith as I should be to talk about that.
I want to say it came out in 85, 86 maybe.
Gotcha. But yeah, I definitely see the similarities. So.
Yeah. I do. I actually forgot about this. And when you mentioned like potentially Vinny paying some homage to Ace, it made me remember that. I actually left it out during the history section, and I didn't mean to, but there were a couple quotes that I read this week from Vinny about Ace that I actually thought were really cool.
Yes, yeah.
One of which being that Vinny felt some pressure when he was actually asked to join the band because, he basically acknowledged like, the fans really love this guy. And so, I'm basically being asked to step into his shoes and replace someone that fans are incredibly endeared to. And while that's daunting, I wanted to do my best to basically fulfill that for the fans, but also to make Ace proud. And apparently, Vinny and Ace have met a few times over the years. And my understanding is Vinny has had nothing but nice words about Ace. But the other quote was from a magazine article, and they basically asked him, do you think you're better than Ace as a guitar player? And he basically said, no, I don't, but I don't think I'm bad either. I think we're different.
Yeah.
And I think that what he did in his way that is unique to him is something that, while I shouldn't replicate, I should acknowledge and try to move forward from.
Right.
And I thought that was a really classy way to say that.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice of him to like understand the situation and kind of read the room a little bit. You know?
And especially if that was what he was doing with this was some sort of little homage to Ace. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam. And I'm trying to think, he had to have known like what he was playing there. You know what I mean? Like he had to have, because it is so similar to what the She, little guitar lick is. Yeah. I mean, that's all I have to say on that track. Keep Me Coming. Anything else? All right, we're going to go ahead and head to track number 4, Rock and Roll Hell, written by Gene Simmons, Bryan Adams, and Jim Vallance. I'm guessing that's how you say his last name.
Yeah, Jimmy Vallance.
Jimmy Vallance. So this is actually a rewrite of a song of the same title that was on the 1979 album Rock and Roll Nights by Bachman Turner Overdrive. Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting stuff. That version is credited to Jim Vallance only. That is the Bachman Turner Overdrive song. Really interesting stuff. I kind of went into a deep dive of what was going on with Bachman Turner Overdrive at this time, or at the time period of that album. There's a lot of interesting stuff. I'm not going to get into it on here, but definitely look it up. If you look up Rock and Roll Nights by Bachman Turner Overdrive and then this song as well, you'll get some cool information. But yeah, so technically it was a different song. And then Gene and Bryan Adams, they kind of put their own spin on it a little bit and reworked it. and kept Jim as a songwriter on there, obviously, because he was the original songwriter. So
my understanding is he did also contribute.
Yes.
Because he and Bryan Adams have written multiple songs together.
Yes. Yeah. See, he was still in on the newer version of this as well. Bryan Adams would actually later release his own recording of the Kiss version in 2024, which is actually pretty good.
No kidding.
Yes. Yeah. Last year he released a version of it. You can find it on his YouTube channel. And really, really cool stuff. It doesn't have like the that guitar intro, like the heavier intro, I guess you could say, before the bass comes in. For the verse.
The da 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 da.
Yeah, so it's not in there. His version just starts off with the bass, the boom, ba boom, ba boom, which is really, really cool. So definitely give that a look if you haven't. One thing that I do want to say about this, and I think it's funny given the title and the lyrical content, it gives me Jukebox Hero vibes from Foreigner.
I absolutely get why you say that.
Because the verses both are very bare. It's usually just a little bit of drums and bass and like a little chugginess. Jukebox Hero is talking about this guy who wants to become this rock star who's badass, and then Rock and Roll Hell is about a guy who clawed his way to be there, and then now he's like falling apart. He's in a rock and roll hell. He's tired of it, which I just thought was very funny. I don't know if there's like a conscious effort to kind of go between those two. I don't even know when Jukebox Hero was technically released. I want to say maybe the late 70s, early 80s, so maybe around this time. But the guitar work is done by Robin Ford on this track.
Yes.
So that's really all I have to say about it. I enjoyed the song. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, I like this song a lot. It's always been one from this record that I have come back to. One thing that I do think is really cool about it also is that it was covered on Origins Volume 1 by Ace Frehley.
No shit.
Yep.
I forgot about that. Now I remember. That's wild. He covers some good songs. He covers some good cuts. What were you going to say?
Jukebox Hero came out in 1981.
So maybe it was. Maybe they're like, hey, we got a Jukebox Hero. Now he's in rock and roll hell.
It's the same guy.
So I don't really have anything else other to say than it's pretty cool song. What about you, Beau? Anything?
I really don't.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and head to track number 5, Danger, written by Paul Stanley and Adam Mitchell. Once again, those two guys kind of in their bag on this album is what the kids call it nowadays. I've come around to the song a little bit more. I originally didn't really like it just because of Paul's vocals, which I think is funny because Keep Me Coming is another one of those where Paul's vocals kind of feel a little weird. The bass is recorded by Jimmy Haslip, and I'm glad he has lip. It'd be pretty concerning if it was Jimmy No Lip. But
yeah, what doesn't he have though? Is he all lip?
When I was writing my notes, I was like, I have to make a fucking joke about this. But bass was recorded by Jimmy. Once again, this kind of shows again that Gene was not really, here for the songs that he was not writing. You know what I mean?
But he'd have to have lip if he eats World, right? Jimmy.
But Jimmy crack corn, okay?
Jimmy eat lip.
Listen, we all know that this is the reason why you tune in to Classic Kiss is to hear us make just the best jokes in the world. That was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. Of course, Jimmy has to have lip. He's got to eat the world.
My wife would hate that I just said that.
As I mentioned earlier, this is where we get some of the conflicting information. I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but Michael James Jackson, reports that Bob did a solo on one of the recordings, and then they didn't like the key and tempo that Paul was singing in, or of the song, because they didn't feel like it matched Paul's voice. It was slower, so they sped it up. And this is the thing about music and speeding things up and slowing things down. When you slow something down, of course, it's going to change into a different key. If you speed it up, it's going to change into a different key because that's just how it is. So when he says they modulated it to a different key, I'm like, you just sped up the tape. That's all you did.
Yeah.
Like that's how they recorded Alvin and the Chipmunks way back in the day. They used to have them sing at really slow, or I can't remember what it was. Yeah, they used to have them sing at really slow paces, and they would speed it up so it pitched the thing, but it would be at a different speed. I can't remember.
Yes.
Where I'm going with this, very big tangent, but this is where we do get the conflicting information of Bob playing on it, but then Bob saying in 2011 that none of his material actually made it to the album, so maybe he's just misremembering. Who knows? We weren't there. like Tyler always says. So, other than that, yeah, I mean, it's a decent song. I've come around to it a little bit more. Still not one of my favorites, though. What about you guys?
I don't really have anything else for it. I make it sound like I'm about to say something like impactful.
I like that. No, you're good. I mean, there's some songs that, that just doesn't really do anything for you, or there's nothing to really like talk about.
Yeah.
So
sage wisdom, my friend.
I will say so far, because when we were doing that re-listen to, we were cleaning up the house. My nephew was listening to it. So far throughout this album, he has liked it.
Yeah.
This is actually one for me that gets stuck in my head when I re-listen to it. But as I get away from the record further and further, the only thing about this song that sticks with me is the chorus of just danger, danger.
Yeah.
I remember nothing of the rest of the song once I'm away from it, but
yeah.
it sticks in my head.
Yeah. This and the guitar riff on this one is the one that reminds us of 100,000 years. Yeah. It's got that same staccato. I'm gonna fucking just turn Italian staccato. But yeah, it's got that kind of chugginess to it, which is really cool. Other than that, I don't have anything else. So we're just going to go and move on to an all-time classic, really, when you think about it. Track number 6, I Love It Loud, written by Gene Simmons, and the first writing credit that goes to Mr. Vinnie Vincent, which Vinnie did all the guitars on this song. Pretty nice solo, fits the song very well, in my opinion. Nothing too flashy. It's really not flashy at all. It's literally
just 3 notes.
Yeah, just very long, droning notes, or sustained notes, I should say. But an absolute Kiss classic. I mean, they've played it so much over the years. They played this song when we saw them in 2020.
I think they played it both times we've seen them together, because they played it in 2019 and they played it when we saw them, I think, in 2012.
Yeah.
And because Gene fucked up the lyrics that night.
Oh, yeah. He always, dude. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but on the live versions, he completely takes out the second part of the second verse. He does. Like, I never noticed it until I saw somebody say it on the Kiss subreddit. They were like, or how somebody posted a video of Gene messing up the lyrics of a different song. And they're like, at least he still sings it and doesn't take out, half the lyrics like he did for I Love It Loud. And like every fucking version of I Love It Loud that I listen to, I'm like, holy shit. Whether it's a YouTube version or like an actual, the recording, whatever you want to call it, he doesn't have the second part of the second chorus, which is the one, God, what is it? No lies, no more alibis. Turn it up. Got me hypnotized. Rock on. Won't be tranquilized.
Gotcha.
He doesn't sing that part live. That's very interesting.
I wonder if he doesn't remember it.
Probably.
Probably.
Well, and because the thing that I think is funny, and because I'm going to tie this together in a weird way, is when we saw them in 2012, he sang the second verse first, and we looked at each other and went, I think he fucked that up. And then he re-sang the second verse for the second verse. And we were like, oh, he did fuck it up. Okay. But it's really similar in a weird way. I don't remember what song it is. I'd have to ask again. I have a friend who's super into the Red Hot Chili Peppers, where Anthony does not sing one of their songs live because he does not remember the lyrics, no matter how much he tries. So Flea does the majority of that song.
Wow.
Yeah. And like, occasionally I can't think of their guitar player's name now either. And I like him.
It was John Frusciante or something like that.
Yes.
I think that's his first name, but I can't remember how to say his last name.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. But apparently also John live, if he looks over and sees Anthony is about to forget the lyrics, he'll just take over.
That's funny. That's really funny. It happens, but this is just one of those songs. I mean, this is really where like, I love how the drums kick this song off. You know what I mean?
Dude, the drums are so thick on this.
Like, it's so powerful. It's just got that like marching beat to it, that head knocking beat. And oh my goodness, man. And then Gene's performance on the vocals is fantastic,
Yeah, when he remembers the lyrics.
Yes, when he like it, but yeah. God damn it. Yes. And then,
in studio. I know what you mean. I'm just being an ass.
No, I thought that was great. Anything you guys want to say about it?
No.
So when I was younger, it didn't bother me. And as an adult, for some reason, now it just makes me mad. It's like my old man yells at cloud moment. And I don't know why.
What's that?
When it fades out to nothing in the middle and then comes back in, it just makes me mad. And I don't know why. I'm like, why?
Right.
Why'd we do this?
Yeah. It does do that. I forgot about that.
I think they had to fill up some runtime on the music video. That's
could
why.
have been music video or the album in general. Fuck. Is it just the music video that it does it like that?
No, it does it on the,
Yeah.
it does it on the song.
Okay, gosh, I couldn't remember. It's not like I just listened to it like 2 hours ago. All right, that's going to do it for track number 6. I Love It Loud, just an all-time Kiss classic right there. And we're going to go to track number 7, I Still Love You, written by Paul Stanley and Vinnie Vincent, which we talked about earlier, how Vinnie Vincent is not on this song. Is he on the song or no?
He does the majority of the guitar work.
Okay.
He does not do the solos.
Okay, I was going to say.
Or like any of the like primarily lead work.
stuff. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. That's done by Robin Ford, right?
Yeah. Yes. But hey, this is one we'll get to when we get to Creatures of the Night.
God damn it. I forgot about that, motherfucker. That's funny as hell.
That was what I set you guys up for like 2 hours ago.
That's funny. That's funny.
We finally got there, Beau.
Yeah, I don't know if Beau remembers that, but it's
From off the soundboard.
Yeah, I think it was off the soundboard. We were talking about I Still Love You, and you're like, we'll get to that when we get to it. And me and Tyler were both just like,
Well, and
I think.
my favorite part is the way he tops it off too, because on that first off the soundboard, they do a snippet of this, but it's just Paul playing the guitar and doing the vocals for like a verse or two. And like, I remember at the time it made you mad. And I think directly what you said was, this is one we'll get to when we get to Creatures of the Night. And then he just like paused and audibly groaned out of frustration.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Just
I gotta go back and listen to that because I don't remember it.
I've been waiting to make that fucking joke at you for like 4 fucking years, dude.
That is fantastic. Oh my gosh, definitely.
We finally got there.
Yeah, we finally did. Go back and listen to the Kiss Off the Soundboard Tokyo episode.
And if you've been with us since day one, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, no shit. Oh man, but no, this song is all right. Listen, I'll say it. This is Paul's best vocal performance on any album by a fucking wide margin ever. Garrett, like any song, this is Paul's best vocal performance ever.
It's
And
so good.
fantastic shit.
Dude, and the live version of this on Unplugged is just so killer.
Yep, I have it in my fucking notes, man. It's like so good that it's become a popular reaction video. You know how like there's Reactor, YouTube, like whatever, like a bunch of people do reaction videos, whatnot. Like this is the MTV Unplugged version is one of the songs that people will react to, like vocal coaches and stuff, and they're all like pretty blown away by it.
Yeah.
And it's seriously such a phenomenal version of the song, but overall the song in general is so damn good.
It's so good. It makes me mad that this song doesn't get more attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say, I always thought that this song was from one of their non-makeup era albums. I always thought it was off of like Animalized or Hot in the Shade or Asylum or something like that. For some reason, I always thought that's where it was from. And then I remember, I think I brought it up to you. I was like, yeah, that song is like fantastic. And then like I asked you what album it was off of, and you said Creatures of the Night, and I was like, what the fuck? And I think it's because the only time that we really got to see this performed live for the most part was during Unplugged. I mean, they played it live on Alive 3, right?
I don't remember if they did or not.
I can't remember if they did it on Alive 3, but like visually, I remember seeing Paul do this during Unplugged. So that's why I just associated it with a non-makeup era album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the bass on this is done by Eric Carr.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I didn't remember.
Very interesting stuff. Once again, Gene not really around to play the bass parts for the songs that he doesn't write.
Yeah.
So I could definitely understand why Paul is probably just a little bit agitated, you know?
Yeah.
Especially with all the stuff that happened with Peter, like you said, and then Ace more recently at the time period. But
dude, and I love the steady, like rhythmic bass. Just,
yeah.
You know, where it just like slides through the song. It's so good.
It's buttery smooth. It is. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, that was on Alive 3.
It was? Okay.
It was.
I couldn't remember. Fantastic song and great guitar solo. Really is so emotive, which I really enjoy. But other than that, we're going to move on from that track and go to track number 8, Killer, written by Gene Simmons and Vinnie Vincent once again. All guitars done by Vinnie on this from what I've read, and going to be honest, not much of a fan of this one.
It's just kind of there. If you said you were going to make this your discard, I'd get it.
Yeah.
It's another one like kind of like Danger, where the further I get away from it, I know that I still like the song, but it's just the chorus in my brain.
Yeah. What about you, Beau?
I don't really have much to say about this one.
I got a different title for this. It's a filler.
I still got to disagree with you. I do think this album is all killer and no filler, but I get it.
If there was a filler track on this, I just wanted to make the joke of killer and filler, but to me, it sort of feels that way. It's not a horrible song by any means. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's bad. It's not fucking Ladies in Waiting, but no. Sorry, we had to fill our quota. But
yep.
Yeah, y'all gonna turn me into a war machine.
God damn it. Here we go with the fuck.
Hey, we'll get to that one when we get to it.
Yeah. Oh shit. But no, I'm just not the biggest fan of it. But other than that, I don't have anything to say. So you guys, anything else?
I really don't either.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't necessarily think any of the songs on this record are bad. It's a little less memorable.
Yeah. All right. Now that we got my poor, dad joke or pun out of the way, we're going to go to track number 9. Almost done with this fucking album. Holy shit. Track number 9, War Machine, or as Paul would say. I can't remember which live show he does. He's War Machine. The way he says it is so funny. I think it's off of Rock the Nation.
I'm almost positive it's off Rock the Nation.
Listen, man, this is...
Oh, Garrett, I need you to do that again for me.
Whoa, machine. I wish I could do it better, but I can't. I'm like losing my voice because we've been talking for 4 hours straight. No, not 4 hours, but still, you get the point.
God, that's so good.
Listen, man, this is a fucking another Kiss classic. It is so good. So damn good.
So damn good.
One of Kiss's heavier songs, if not one of their heaviest up to this point, other than like Parasite maybe and The Oath. I mean, like, obviously I Love It Loud is pretty heavy, but in terms of like lyrical content, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say like not necessarily like lyrical content, but like in terms of like riff or, sonically, like this, Parasite, God of Thunder, kind of like that chuggy riff from The Oath, like you had mentioned. Like this is really within their handful of heaviest songs to this point. We get one later that I would argue is heavier, but that's kind of hard to top.
Yeah. And I, in the midst of me doing that horrible Paul Stanley impression, this was written by Gene Simmons, Bryan Adams, and Jim Valance. Again, Jimmy Valance. So it's funny that Bryan Adams is on one of the fucking heaviest Kiss songs.
So weird.
An absolute classic. One of the first songs that you actually taught me how to play on guitar. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. It was this one and Cold Gin, because they're very simple. And still in my rotation of Kiss songs that I'll like play. Like there, when you're like what I usually do on Spotify when I'm listening to music on drives or whatever is I just go to my liked songs, and I have thousands of liked songs, and I just hit shuffle. I'm like, fuck it, we're listening to whatever today. And it's like, I'll skip through songs, and I'll skip through quite a few Kiss songs that I have liked. But this is one that when it comes on, I always listen to it because it's badass.
See, because I'm autistic, I just make thousands of playlists.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, this makes it in almost every playlist. I'm not joking. I have like 200 playlists on Spotify. I need to delete some because they're non-functional at this point. But no, I love this song. That riff is heavy as shit.
It is. And I think in the Behind the Mask book, they were talking about the way that they came up with this was, it was either Jim or Brian. No, I think it was Brian. I think it was Bryan Adams had a little 5-note synthesizer toy, and he came up with the riff on that little synthesizer toy thing where the da, 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 da. That's why it doesn't vary that much, like
that's
the
incredible.
Riff. It's very like it only goes up, 3 notes. It only goes up 5 notes or whatever. And he said it was actually it wasn't tough trying to get it to translate to a guitar, but it was just a little bit odd how to do it on a guitar,
Gotcha.
Which I thought it's so cool. I love shit like that,
Yeah.
Beau, do you have anything that you want to say about this song?
Actually, I think this might have cracked my top 10 Kiss songs of all time. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look.
Damn.
This song it's that good.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever made a like top 10 or even like top 25 Kiss songs of all time, but you just started a habit that I'm now stuck in. So
I've had a top 10 list for a while.
Right.
And it really hasn't changed much, even with all these re-listens and all that. Yeah. But this is one that probably would never leave it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing because Beau
just knocked my water all over
It was
place.
funny because I saw it fly over. I was like, damn, fuck that water bottle. Yeah, dude, it's a fantastic song. What else were you going to say?
Well, and I think it fits that aesthetic with the tank, like what you were talking about,
which is funny that they didn't use that song as the music video. You know what I mean?
They should
with the tank, but either way,
yeah,
I think it's the better song out of the two.
I would agree, but man,
I guess I Love It Loud is more catchy.
Yeah, man, such a strong opening and ending to this record.
Dude. It is, yeah, and like you said. You said all killer, no filter, no filter. Yeah, fuck. All killer, no filler. I don't think that there's really much filler in this either. Like, to be honest, if you want to call killer filler, then like I did, you can. But even then, it's not a bad song, No,
yeah. Like I said, I genuinely think that this is their most well-rounded record. Where, it's got some points that don't reach nearly the same highs, but like there really isn't a stinker.
This, along with Rock and Roll Over. And I hate to say it, but Unmasked, they sound cohesive. Unmasked sounds cohesive.
Yeah, even though it's dog shit.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing is dog shit.
Yes, yeah. Like, it sounds
I'm kind of joking.
It sounds like one album,
Yeah, it feels like when they either wrote, recorded, mixed, whatever processes the record went through, that it was all done together as opposed to a weird disjointedness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But yeah, man, I mean, fantastic album. Anything you want to say, Beau? Oh, he said, "Take me home, country roads, the place where I belong."
Hey, he didn't write on this record. Surprising considering everyone else did.
Yeah, no shit. And played on it. Fuck.
Dude.
All right. We are going to go and take a little short break real quick. We're going to gather our bearings and we are going to get into our 3-in-1 segment where we pick 3 songs, 1, 2, and 3 that we really enjoy. And then we take one song off to make it a little bit better, which is going to be very hard for Tyler to do, in my opinion. So we're going to talk more about the 3-in-1 coming up in just a bit here on Classic Kiss on the Soundcheck.
This comes out, Creatures of the Night. This one's called War Machine.
And we're back here with Classic Kiss on the Soundcheck. My name is Garrett. Of course, I got my 2 co-hosts with me, Tyler and Beau. And we are getting into our 3-in-1 segment. This is one of our favorite segments where we get to list our top 3 songs off of the album, ranked 1, 2, and 3. And then we take one song off just to, round out the album a little bit more. Maybe we didn't like the song. Maybe it just didn't fit, which I don't really think that this album has one that doesn't fit. It just we're just going to kind of go with our least favorite song on there.
Yep, I would agree.
So that being said, our 3-in-1, we're going to start off with Beau. What is your top 3?
My top 3 has always been the same on this album, and it will remain that way. It is I Love It Loud at number 3, War Machine at number 2, and Creatures of the Night as number 1.
Wow, very nice, very nice. I feel like we're probably going to have similar top 3s, at least, 1 or 2 out of them. Tyler, what's your top 3?
That actually would have been my exact top 3 a couple years ago. But the more that I've come back to this record and kind of sat in it, it has changed dramatically. Number 3, I'm putting War Machine. Number 2, I have Rock and Roll Hell. And number 1 is I Still Love You.
Wow. No Creatures of the Night.
Wow. That should tell you how much I like this record because I love that song.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is, man, I'm not going to lie. That actually has me fucking mind blown right now. It's a great list though. It is. It was tough for me. It was tough for me too. My 3-in-1 is number 3, Keep Me Coming. No, I'm just kidding. I knew that was going to piss Tyler off. No, number 3, I Still Love You. Listen, man, fucking amazing song. And this is one of those songs where like, with Paul, and I should have mentioned this during the Tracklist Breakdown, obviously I think this is his best vocal performance on any song in the history of Kiss. But this is really where you start to truly hear the maturation in his voice. I feel like, because a lot, and I mean this album in total, like this is where he kind of turns the page a little bit, and you get that 80s style Paul Stanley.
Yeah, you don't get the yodel at the beginning of Heaven's on Fire without this.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I Still Love You is at number 3, Creatures of the Night at number 2, and number 1 is War Machine for myself. Honorable mention of I Love It Loud, because it's a classic Kiss song.
Yep.
But that is my top 3, and we're going to start with Tyler this time. What is your one discard?
Keep Me Coming.
I knew it was going to be Keep Me Coming.
Like I said, I don't even hate the song. It's just the vocal delivery on the chorus.
No, I know. Understandable. Beau, what's your number 1 discard?
Originally, it was going to be I Still Love You.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
You always loved that song.
I do love the song. I love the unplugged version more.
Okay, right. That's valid.
All right.
I can't argue.
To me, it feels more of a ballad.
It is. It's a power ballad.
Absolutely.
It is. But with the way Beth sounds and with the other ballads that they had, I didn't really like the whole heavier ballad sound.
Oh, you didn't like the like drums on it and how massive they sound, which I can kind of understand. But
then we got into the track listing, and I forgot about filler.
Filler. God damn it!
It's a filler.
My discard is Killer.
Filler tracks. I'm thinking of fucking Thriller. All right, so you're going with Killer on your discard, yeah. That is my discard as well. It's just that's the song that, in my opinion, I think that it's just the weakest for me overall.
I thought Tyler was going to die when I said I Still Love You.
Dude, he almost did.
Because I know you love that song. That just blew my mind.
Listen, and I remember this. I remember the first time that I really, not first time, but like one of the first times I truly appreciated I Still Love You. And it was when me and Beau were going down to Holiday World, and we were driving our grandma's car. And I think we played like the entirety of Unplugged for sure, and then I think we started on Kiss Symphony or something like that, but we played the entirety of Unplugged, and I Still Love You came on, and I was like, holy shit.
Dude, it's so good.
And Beau was like, yeah, dude, this song fucking kills.
Yeah,
it's so good.
And there's a YouTube channel that I follow who does vocal reactions and everything, and she's an opera singer, and she did that song.
I think maybe that's one of the ones that I saw.
Probably. The Charismatic Voice is the name of the YouTube channel for anyone that is curious. I think it's the only Kiss song she's ever done. I'm not 100% sure about that. But I don't remember her full takeaway from it, but I remember that she did it.
Yeah. All the reaction videos that I've seen to it have all been very positive. So, all right. That's going to wrap it up for this segment of Classic Kiss, the 3-in-1, one of our favorites. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back with our certified ratings. Once again, if anybody can tell us who is certifying these ratings, please let us know, because we don't know yet. So we'll be right back here on Classic Kiss, presented by the Soundcheck.
We'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
And we're back here on Classic Kiss, presented by the Soundcheck. We are about to wrap up our Creatures of the Night episode. My goodness, it's been not a super long one, not as long as The Elder. My goodness, music from The Elder was what, 2.5 hours?
Dude, that was a long episode.
Listen, big shout out to any of you who stuck it out through that entire episode, because that was a long one. It was a hefty one. It was a fun one though. It was definitely a fun episode.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that one.
Shout out to Spotify. I don't really like to shout out Spotify because fuck them. But they do auto chapters on their on podcasts and stuff like that. And some of the titles that they came up for the chapters of the podcast were really, really cool, really funny. So definitely check that out. But either way, that out of the way, I should say, we are getting into our certified rating of Creatures of the Night, the 1982 album from Kiss. And I am going to start with myself.
Hey,
because I feel bad that I always go last, as if everybody's like, oh, what's Garrett's take? Anyway, sorry, that just made Beau laugh really hard.
Hey, I'm sitting here saying that, you fucker. I care, okay?
Sorry. Anyways, I had to get at least one joke about myself in there. This is the thing, is being the primary host, I guess you could say. I get so fucking tired of hearing my own voice when I edit shit. And I'm like, why do I talk so much? I'm not helping my case right now. So anyways, I'm giving this fucking album an 8 out of 10. It is a fantastic album. It is in my top 10 for sure of Kiss albums, but it's still not on that level of Rock and Roll Over for me. The first album, even Hotter Than Hell. I can't remember what I gave Hotter Than Hell because I know that the production on that album, we kind of said held it back a little bit. But if the production wasn't bad, that would probably be a 10 out of 10 for me. But either way, this album is getting an 8 out of 10. Such a phenomenal album. A true return to form, but still sounds fresh considering the time period. You know what I mean? A lot of people think, oh, a return to form is like, oh, them going back to their old sound. No, they didn't go back to their old sound. They just went back to making good music, which, don't get me wrong, music from the Elder was good, but it was just so different.
Oh, yeah.
It surprises me that it took it so long for this album to reach gold status. Like, it still blows my mind that it took that long, 12 years for this to reach gold status. I'm glad that it gets the love that it deserves now, because I see this regularly in the top 5 or top 10 albums of most Kiss fans. So very nice to see that, and doesn't have any massive misses. So that's a good thing for an album, and it has a lot of great high points. So that's all I got to say. 8 out of 10. Ty, what are we doing?
I am giving this a strong 9. This is by far one of my favorite Kiss records, dude. Everything about this, there is not a single song on here that I genuinely am uninterested in.
Yeah.
And I can't say that about most of their other stuff. There's true. At least one song on most of their records where I go, I could do without it.
Yeah.
It's kind of where the concept for the 3-in-1 came from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I just don't have that for this one. This is genuinely, in my opinion, one of their most well-rounded and just best written records.
Yeah. Can't really disagree. Beau, what do you think?
I'm going to go with you on an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
It is a very strong album. Very, very well, more memorable album to get to discuss. I know that I do like this album for the simple fact that this is where we're going to see more into the 80s now anyway.
Right.
Especially with the next album.
Yeah. Yeah. Lick It Up. Just around the corner, man. Hard to believe. Hard to believe we're finally to the 80s.
But what are you looking up just around the corner?
We'll figure that out on the next episode. But I mean, if you guys have nothing else to say, I'll just wrap it up for the most part by saying it's a great album. It really is. And big kudos to them for having so many different players on this album and so many rotating, revolving doors of people coming into play on this, whether it was bass parts, whether it was guitar parts, songwriters coming in and out, for all the different, things happening behind the scenes for this album to sound as cohesive as it is fan-fucking-tastic, especially with so many different players on it. That's a true testament to the skills of the engineers and the recording engineers, the mixer, the producers, the players, everybody, man. This is such a great album from top to bottom. So kudos to them. And with that being said, that is going to wrap it up for this episode for Creatures of the Night, the 1982 release by Kiss. An absolute banger of an album. I don't really know how else to say it. And thanks for tuning in once again. Go check out all of our other episodes. We just did a tribute to Ace Frehley. May he rest in peace, and check out that episode. You can check out the music from the Elder episode. Oh my goodness, that was a behemoth of an episode. That was really fun. And check out all of them because we got some good ones out there, I will say. I like to pat ourselves on the back. So anything else you guys want to say before we sign off?
Nope. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the record as much as I do.
Absolutely. Beau?
I don't really have anything else to say.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Classic Kiss on the Soundcheck for Tyler, for Beau, and for myself, Garrett. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.